I'm Amy. I opened Sassafras back in late 2012, and it is a clothing shop in Belltown. We sell all local stuff, so it's all made in the Pacific Northwest. Um, in fact, all made by women. So when you support Sassafras, you're supporting between 50 and 60 female artists, designers, and jewelers. And you're also supporting a woman-owned business. Sassafras also has design studios underneath the retail shop. So we have 6 in-house brands that are made right here. So all the way from the design to the cutting to the sewing to putting the labels on, all of that happens right here downstairs.
That's very cool. And you said there's up to 50 to 60, and so they're all in the apparel and accessories.
Yep, apparel, accessories, and we also have some local art. So we also are the founders of the Belltown Art Walk. So we like to rotate the art once a month, but we haven't rotated in a while. The last exhibit was on Valentine's Day. 6 or 7 visual artists are supported by us on an ongoing basis. You can see some of that art on our website too. It's more of a community, I mean, it's a retail shop. We have online shopping and all of that, but it's also a community where the artists appreciate one another. Like everyone who works here is a maker, so they understand what it takes to actually create something. Um, so it's kind of a special place in that regard. And we certainly have the dream team working here.
That's very, very cool. And I'd like to go back a little bit into your story and talk about how you got into not just the fashion industry, but also into retail specifically. And at what point did fashion really enter your life? When did you start to have an awareness of it?
Okay, so from the time I was a little girl, my grandmother was a seamstress by trade, and I had a very particular style that I was going for, like even when I was 5 years old. All of my dresses were plaid, and all of my shoes were red. So I had my particular taste, but I was definitely exposed to the sewing part of it with my grandmother, who would let me, pick from her scrap pile anything I wanted and make little purses and skirts and things from the time I was probably 7 years old. So it's been an ongoing thing. Like even in high school, I would make my own clothes, or I would go to the thrift store, buy stuff and paint it and like decoupage my shoes. So I was always into like making something look a little bit different, and was really into wearing clothes that people couldn't say, oh, she got that at Macy's, or, identify the origins of the garment. And then I could also cross over different eras. So like 1920s hat with like my hand painted jeans, kind of cute and fun. But for Sassafras, this is actually my first retail job. Um, so, and I remember before opening the store, I would have these dreams about, oh my God, I don't even have to know how to use a cash register. um, Terrified of doing a retail job, but because it's a community, it makes it a lot easier. And most of our customers are pretty smart, adventurous, and patient. And they're willing to wait for things. We make it here, or we contact the people. I know every single person who sells here personally. Like I've met them and I know what their studios look like, and I visit with them. So we're in close relationships with all the makers here. But back to how fashion came to be in my life, it was early on, but also I had this vision of having a shop that sold secondhand clothing that you could alter. So like I would do the alterations. So like maybe you love this print, but you don't like the butterfly sleeve. Well, I would just change that. So that was the original vision for Sassafras. And then I was making my own designs. So like I had dresses, skirts, tops, and I decided to practice having a retail shop by participating in all these art markets and like shoving my stuff everywhere and talking to people and, you know, see if I really liked working with the public, which I loved. But what I noticed at all of those markets was there were always several fashion designers who were trying to sell like their beautiful handmade $150 dress at these events where people just really wanted to spend $30 and have a beer. So rather than continue with the secondhand store vision with alterations, I changed everything up and decided to make a home for those fashion designers who like they're not quite, you know, ready to go into Nordstrom. They maybe don't even produce enough to be in more than one store. So what I did was created a home for those people. So small batch. Currently, you have to have, you know, at least a size run of your item and let's say 12 to 15 garments as part of your collection to be a part of Sassafras. So I think it's just cool because some people don't want to be, you know, a large manufacturer. Some people just want to do their small batch designs. And so this is a place where they can sell.
I think that's fantastic, and I personally love everything about that. Not to editorialize, but
That's
just off,
great.
just offer my 2 cents. But it's a very unique relationship, especially between makers and retailers and stockists right now. And I've been in contact with quite a lot of fashion designers, and a lot of the difficulties that they're having is they're putting their collections on indefinite hiatus, and they don't have capsule collections where they can just uh, almost in a print on demand scenario make just enough for the customers that are guaranteed to buy. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been a disincentive to even producing small batches right now. Have you heard back from them as far as how they're feeling and what they feel their projections are for getting new, or maybe not necessarily new materials and wardrobe, but getting back into the production swing of things? Is there any
Mm.
projections?
So it's kind of all over the place. I have some designers who are still delivering, you know, my spring orders that I ordered back in October. Um, and those are arriving every day. And so I put those up on the website. Other people have switched to just selling masks because that seems like what people want right now. Um, doesn't feel quite the same, and making masks is really boring. Um, I've been doing that too. It's like everybody's got their little stash, and you know, you can get creative with it a little bit. I mean, everyone's mask design is a little slightly different and made for a different kind of person. Um, but I do think there's definitely a halt in the collections. So it's hard to imagine who needs a pretty dress at the moment. Although some people are going back to work, and some of our customers are like, "Oh, I need to look cute. You know, I need my spring wardrobe now because I'm going to be seen by people." So it seems like it's picking up a little bit, um, but masks are the thing. And honestly, every time I see a picture of one, I'm like, I don't want to see that anymore. But you know, I mean,
Well, I definitely
not
have.
my favorite.
Yeah, it's the unglamorous side of the fashion industry is generally where 99% of the time is spent. And
True. It's not glamorous.
no, 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 no. What we see in editorials is the almost the very last step in the process, just before people make a point of sale. But as far as because you did bring up people are expressing interest in your spring collections now. And you know, Governor Inslee has been a little. It sounds like he may be moving towards extending. We're not really sure. His last press conference that I saw, or press release, was about wanting to do the job right the first time and not having to repeat this in the future.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like we're all still kind of waiting on, you know, on how this is going to play out. but with people returning back to work, um, in particular, the phases, I'm not super clear. I don't know how clear anyone is on what the phases end up looking like and which industries go back into work first. But looking ahead
Or
toward,
even when the phases start and end,
or
and
even, yeah,
yeah.
exactly, and how it rolls out. Looking forward to the summertime when it's generally very active.
I think a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do anything this spring. I'm going to like plan to do a fall collection. But even for fall, I'm not sure what people are going to be looking for at that point. I mean, from a retailer's perspective, um, at the moment, it's, people going back to work. They need a mask, they need a dress. Um, but then there are other people who I feel like are supporting because they want us to survive. So, like, they order a candle or some nail polish, gifty things like that, pick me up kind of things, rather than full outfits or dresses. Um, I do think what's cool that could be helpful for other designers, though, that we don't currently carry is that we've got quite a lot of drop ship happening right now. So rather than having, a big box of things in the back that I can pull from and ship, we're shipping, from Portland, we're shipping from Bellingham, we're shipping from Vancouver as the things are made. So people can order online through me. And then the items are made and then shipped. So I don't really have to manage the inventory physically, but it is helping because a lot of the smaller designers don't have the same audience that we have. So they can push on their websites all they want, but like they are still only going to get this certain audience looking. So Sassafras, because we have so many different designers, is being promoted by all of them, which is nice. And so there's more exposure.
I did want to touch on that for sure, and especially since Nordstrom just announced a closure of 16 full-line stores, and many big box retail companies have been moving towards a more Amazon-like business model, and
Mhm.
having fulfillment centers or having a drop shipping solution, and especially as it pertains to local. I was curious if that was going to be your move as well, but it sounds like maybe that has already been a part of your DNA, and
I
maybe
mean, we only had oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying that this sounds like it was a part of your DNA, and maybe this situation just kind of amplified that a bit.
Yeah, I think we were set up for it already, which was nice. So I spent a lot of time. So funny, but January and February, nothing really happens in the retail world. Everyone's kind of broke and tired after Christmas. So that's the time that I used to really ramp up my website. So we had lots of photos up online. So now, it's just adding the new stuff. And then we always had sort of a made to order option available through the website. So you can always say, oh, we're out of, size large. Can you make me one? And so that's been in place for a long time. With the drop ship, I'm surprised at how many people have actually reached out to me and asked if they could do that with me. So it hasn't been, I haven't said, oh, can I put all of your stuff on my website? They've reached out to me and said, can you please, I'm happy to pay shipping or whatever. And of course I say yes, as long as, my site can still load that many items, and people can still use it. I'm happy to do that. So if you know of any people who are looking for more exposure, I'm happy to put things up there. I guess my biggest concern is like what happens when, we all are in this situation where, the restaurants, they're paying this exorbitant amount of rent, but they're basically now a taco truck. Um, so the question is like, after some period of time, how long will I really be able to pay the rent for this beautiful storefront? Um, it's scary. And luckily, my landlord is Bellwether Housing, which is rent control, low income housing. So I rent the storefront from Bellwether Housing. So they've been pretty generous with the rent to begin with. Like, I think I'm paying a lot less than a lot of other people. Um, but who knows, like, how long will we need this big of a space? And we definitely need the design studio, which is about 1,600 square feet. But that's all downstairs. And then, so what do we need upstairs? I don't know. Maybe there will be something like combined businesses, which, a lot of people were doing that anyway, like rent out a part of it to like have plants in here or have something different that's, having that business pay for part of the rent. But yeah, it's difficult because when people, it's just, I feel like everybody just got a new job overnight. And my new job is I'm a shipping company. I'm also a mask manufacturing company. So it's just, those adjustments. I'm not sure what it will look like the rest of the year, the calendar year.
You've curated a very strong brand and very similar to other online experiences. Net-a-Porter being a famous example of building a brand and then allowing the others to sort of piggyback off the brand in order to amplify the signal. And it sounds like you've gone from sort of a short face business to a long tail business, a very long tail business, perhaps overnight, and it is going to have a lot of growing pains. But I definitely think this is going to be survivable. And what you look like on the other side of this may look very different, but it still can be very successful. And you described having a hybrid approach to your showroom space, which could be inviting other businesses, curating a lifestyle. So maybe it's different kinds of products, different services. You host art galleries and art walks, various of reasons for people to come in and associate with the products. And so I think a lot of people are going to be very excited to get out of the house, and they're going to be very excited to experience anything that doesn't look like Netflix in their four walls. And
Right.
so the anticipation levels are there in the public. It's about sort of responding to their needs. And I did want to ask you just a couple of other follow-up questions, specifically in doing my research on you for this interview, the Microsoft connection. And you spoke a couple of times about Microsoft, but I was unable to sort of clarify. Were you actually employed by them, or do you have a background in
I
engineering?
had a career, I had a 14-year career there. So I was doing editing and writing and content management for them. I think I'm the only person who ever got a job on hotjobs.com, and that was the job. um, that, like, 12 years in, I was like, I didn't mean to be here this long, and started planning my departure. Started saving half my salary so I could open the store. And that's when I started practicing, like going to the markets and practicing selling things and chatting with different artists and designers that I could find. So it was a pretty long process to open places to see if I could come look at their retail spaces for lease. I was just like on my lunch break, hey, I'm going to open a store one day. Can I come look at your space? But then it was interesting too, because like I didn't have any experience, really direct experience. So recruiting the first 18 designers whose things I carried in my brand new store was kind of uncomfortable. It was awkward. Like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm going to open this store one day. And it's going to be awesome. And you should be part of it. I'm not sure when, but can you promise that you want to be part of it? So I kind of
That was me.
fun.
That was my whole first couple of years doing this. Hey, you don't know
Okay.
who I am, and you don't know me from Adam, but I would really love to speak with you for this podcast thing I'm doing.
Yeah, you'll
I'd like to
really
give it a
enjoy
try.
it, I swear.
Yeah, someday it's gonna be big. You're gonna love it. It's just gonna be. This is. You got to get in on this right now. Get in the ground floor for sure.
Yeah. So that's all. I mean, I was just there and I was there too long. And, I mean, to the point where I was driving there every day from downtown and not really knowing how I got there because I just spaced out and I was just going through the motions. But thankfully, it paid me enough that I could do something different after that. Um, but yeah, I didn't study technology or anything. I have a degree in English and double major in philosophy and English.
You
So
would be surprised how many English majors get into fashion. So
that's
Angeline Wee,
funny.
yeah, Angeline Wee, who's the owner and creative director of
Oh yeah, I sell her clothes here sometimes. Yeah, I love her. She's great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's an English major, I
Okay.
believe. And Victor Liu, who is a social worker and a model here in the area, is, I believe, also partially an English major. I think it was a double major. And I just spoke with a model at SMG who she is an English major and
Okay.
turned to fashion. And I'm starting to connect the dots. There's a correlation between English studies, creativity, and fashion. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's actually very cool. And I wasn't an English major; I was a theater major. Big surprise, I know. But
That's almost the same.
yeah, it's kind of the same. I studied a lot of Old English, Shakespeare, and all that. But I think that the last thing that I did want to ask you before you do have to go, and I thank you very much for your time, was uh, I, I I found a quote from an interview with you by a gal whose name I believe is Dina Ogden, and it was hold on, my iPad is these are really small words. Um, I just thought it was very interesting, and you had said to Dina, and this was 2017, on the topic of giving a self pep talk. You said, "This is you to your younger self." And you said, "What are you afraid of? You're very employable, and if something goes wrong, then you can make another decision. But you have to make a decision. You can't keep coming to Microsoft every day. You're in a rut. Wake yourself up. Risks aren't bad. Plan to manage risk. Put more in savings. Volunteer for jobs that will help you be successful in your next career, and practice." And I was very curious, just sort of as we part ways today, if you had sort of one big message to give right now, especially in this time, and especially to your audience, to people that you love and that you care for, and also sort of the general public at large, and it doesn't have to be one, but if you had any message to give now, what would it be?
Well, I mean, what does Mr. Rogers talk about? He talks about that when there's a hard time and you're in a hard situation, there are always the helpers. So he talks about how these helpers are everywhere, and they will come. And I feel like I see this happening all over the place, like people helping each other nonstop. People checking in. Do you have groceries? What can I bring you? How can I make you feel good? Can I make you a mask? I mean, those kind of caring gestures are all over the place. I know it feels a little crazy because, it feels strange walking around our city when it now feels like a small town. I miss my city, but I think my main message would be like, there are helpers. Um, and if you're a helper, you know who you are. And you should look for people you can help. Sorry, curbside drop off here.
Not a problem. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time, Amy. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best. And if there's anything that I can do to help from far, far away, please let me know. I'm happy
Yeah.
to.
And next time you're in Seattle, come say hi.
I'm going to. You can count on it. Well, you take care, and I will talk to you later, okay? All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.